it's Cousin Jessie.
Hello there, Elmo.
Oh, what you doing?
Well, I'm looking through my memory box. After my dad died, I started keeping special things in here that remind me of him. Do you want to see?
Well, sure.
Okay. Well, see, I've got some drawings that I made for him, and there's some fun tickets from things that we used to do together. Oh, and there's some letters, too.
And Uncle Jack's tie.
Yeah, that was his favorite.
Boy, this box has so many great memories in it, Jessie.
Yeah, I know. I just don't want to ever forget my dad, and, looking at these things helps me to remember him.
And does that make Jessie feel better?
Yeah, some days it really does.
Oh, good. Well, that's how Elmo feels when he looks at the pictures of Uncle Jack, too, like this one. Yeah?
Oh, yeah. That is a great one of him.
It's so important to talk to the children in your life about a tough topic, death and dying. It's something we don't do often enough. So we're talking about it here on The Dawn Show. Dawn Stensland-Menti with you, and back with Joe and Karen. So if you're creating, in other words, that memory box, do you do it as a family, or do you let the child do it by themselves?
I think it depends on the family, wouldn't you say, Karen?
I think so. I think if, there's no right or wrong way to do anything. It's just seeing what a child might need, if they need to do this as a group thing, or if it's something that they want to do in private. I think it all depends on the child.
And is it appropriate if someone in your life who has a child dies, that you would give them a memory box and say this might be a way to cope, or give them a book, or is that not appropriate? Or, you know, it's touchy sometimes to talk to people who've lost a loved one, but particularly a child, which is unthinkable. It's the most unthinkable thing, I think, as a parent, to think of something happening to your child or a child close to you.
So, I mean, I don't know, again, there's no right or wrong answer to that question, but I do remember I interviewed Letitia Baldridge, and I said to her, you know, what do you do? Do you reach out if you're a community member in a different way than you would a coworker versus a friend, or, you know, someone you haven't talked to in a while? And she said, and I told her I was going to quote her when she said it, she said, if you're a loving person, you reach out whenever there's a need. So however you reach out, and in whatever way that you reach out that feels comfortable to you, there's no wrong way. You know, I think people are so afraid to acknowledge a death and to say the wrong thing that they don't do anything at all, and then that person just feels isolated.
Right.
So I hope that answers that question.
Yeah, I think that it's the isolation that's completely crippling, that people are timid. They're so scared of doing it wrong. And if it's something as simple as giving a memory box, or perhaps you have a photo at home, and you want to share that photo from a kid's birthday party or wherever it was, I think those little things go a real long way to break the silence. I think that's what it's about, breaking that silence. When people think, oh, if I just bake the lasagnas and show up with lasagnas, I'm taking care of that immediate need. Well, that's helpful because people are hungry, but it's much, much more than that. And I think, to your point, Dawn, you've said it a few times now, and it's the connection. How do you continue to maintain a connection to the person who died, but to all the people who are still grieving? And that grief is not something that gets wrapped up in 6 months or a year or 2 years.
Yeah, I don't think there's any healing in particular when a child dies. I just think you're not going to heal. You're just going to learn to live with it, and you're going to learn to cope. So to me, it's almost rude to say, oh, you're going to heal, you're going to get over that. You'll never get over it. I would just want to go over these 3 points that you have on your website, Karen, and that is grieving as a family, letting the emotions out. So getting everybody to talk about it, let the emotions out in whatever way you can, communicating and connecting as a family, and maybe that is a memory box or sharing pictures, and then sharing the memories and trying to find ways to move forward. So maybe a charity event that you go to, that you pay a tribute, or you do a yearly memorial on that person's birthday, for example. I think all of those are so important, but just not to forget and try to move on and say, we're not going to talk about that anymore.
Yeah. I think it's rude to ignore it completely.
Right.
I think people want to talk about it, and I think we need to learn how to to listen.
Yeah.
And that not only happens within a family unit, that has to be a communal society thing. As a community and society, we can't sweep this stuff under the rug because it has a long-term impact on kids. If we're not willing to be prepared in our schools, in our communities, in our churches, to be in dialogue, we know you have to do that work in advance. You don't wait till the death happens and everybody shows up and say, okay, what do we do now? We have to be in conversation about that well in advance so that we have consistency. One of the things that kids need time and time again in their lives is consistency because there's so much inconsistency.
Yeah.
And as
Important to
caretakers,
educate.
we need to be consistent in how we go about providing that support.
Oh, that's well said, Joe. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back here on The Dawn Show. So talking to the children in your life about a big part of life that we don't talk about enough, and that is death. So we want to give you the websites again for Heart to Soul and also Good Grief. They are packed with great information that'll help you or help your loved ones. We want to thank Karen and Joe for being here. Just a final thought, a bottom line for you as a parting thought as we leave.
Love goes a long way.
Yeah. I think that's it. Sometimes I've just given a person a big hug to say, I love you, and that's so important.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for
Thanks
being
for
here.
joining
us. Thank
and
you.
thank you. We'll see you here tomorrow, here on The Dawn Show.